No? Okay, awesome. Okay, shall I go ahead? Okay, my name is Robert Jarolim. I'm currently a Jack Eddy Fellow here at the High Altitude Observatory, so I actually just had to walk downstairs to come here. I'm mostly working on AI applications for solar physics, and in particular, I'm working on magnetic field modeling or solar atmospheric modeling with physics-informed neural networks. I think that the primary aspect that we currently have, and that's also the primary aspect of the fellowship, is basically to advance this problem further by mitigating the under-constraintness of this problem, where we basically try to extrapolate a single layer into the solar atmosphere and adding additional constraints, both in terms of having additional observational constraints from chromospheric fields, but also from EOV observations. And with this, basically enhancing the observations or the understanding of the solar atmosphere, both in terms of the magnetic field and in terms of the plasma distribution in the atmosphere. Yep.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Prateek. I'm also a Jack Eddy Fellow, but not in HAO. I had to take a cab. I'm in Space Weather Trek in CU Boulder. Yeah. So my area of expertise or work is space weather modeling, mainly solar wind, CME, these things. So earlier I did MHD simulations. I developed a code called Swasti. And now I'm doing a hybrid, like integrating machine learning to kind of make the full framework more efficient and more accurate. So that's it. Yeah, basically. Yeah. Thank you.
One of the things.
So mine was pretty simple. I knew there was something called Jack Eddy Fellowship, and I was looking someone who has some expertise in machine learning as a host or supervisor, and space weather modeling. Uh, Through LinkedIn, I got to know about Enrico, and through some paper. I just sent a cold email and with a small draft of the proposal, and he was quite interested. And then we started working on the final draft of the proposal, and that's how it went. Yeah. So uh, actually, it was of, I think, two two pages with very good. The idea was that I put the main methodology and the timeline, okay, which was showing everything. That was the main objective, that chat, so that he also thinks that okay, this is how he is thinking the timeline. The Gantt chart, the timeline, and the work packages or the deliverables.
Yeah, I would say for me it was also pretty straightforward. I had already an ongoing collaboration for this existing project where we had plans how to move this forward. And I was moving towards the end of my PhD, so it was mostly about finding a way to support this kind of research. And yeah, so basically so that was from this perspective, it was easy to find a host immediately and to set up the project, because it was kind of clear in which direction I want to move with this. And the fellowship actually provided this degree of freedom to actually pursue multiple directions and provide the freedom to actually investigate different approaches to this. Yeah.
Call, right? One relationship. Yeah. Any fellowships are.
Maybe I can also comment on, because you raised the question like how to find a host. I think for most people, it's, especially like with those fellowships, most people are willing to support if it's kind of aligned with your research. So I think it's always good to just reach out and ask, because it's basically no additional effort from the host perspective and would mean like a whole new collaboration coming in. So I think everyone is inclined to say yes to if people get asked if they would be willing to serve as host. Yeah. Yeah, it's a 2-year fellowship, so you need to have it like scheduled, like you should have it like that it's like consistent with the timeline that you have, like the scope should be in agreement with this time frame. So I would say in terms of the topics that you can apply to, it's for the Jack Eddy Fellowship, it's open, everything about heliophysics. But if there's like one big tip that I can give you, it's have a look at the decadal surveys, have a look at the big topics that are currently in heliophysics. What are the big questions? What are the big science questions? And try to frame it around one of those. Because that's always one of the primary evaluation criteria, where people have a look at the individual roadmaps of, like if it's a certain institute that you're applying to, make sure to check what is currently the primary objective, what is the primary goal, and try to frame your project around that.
And you can also always ask someone, because for my case, I emailed Robert. He was already a Jackary, and he was very kind in helping in. So you can always ask someone if you have doubt in that. But also last year, I think Sunil, he works in ionospheric, but you have to show the connection with the heliosphere. That's it. It can be magnetosphere, for example, no problem in that. I wrote a proposal for my PhD fellowship as well, and uh, that was one experience. But there were many failure. For example, I started with NPP. I sent the email to many people. None of them replied. Uh, and I was sending the same kind of proposal. So it's not that it got the hit in the first attempt. But I kept on doing it, refining the proposal, and finally Enrico replied. Someone replied.
Yeah, I wrote science proposals before, but it was actually the first proposal that I wrote for a postdoc position. I was already planning to submit others because it's always good to have some backups, of course. But then I already heard back that this one was successful, which was also quite stressful because it was like still at the beginning, like it was basically the start of my last PhD year, so I had to wrap everything up before December. So I had like, but still like once I heard back, it was like in spring, and then I had to be done by December, so everything had to be finished by then. And then I started like right on the last possible start date for that year.
This is great. I mean,
Exactly, yeah. But I think it's a good advice to say start applying early, because it's never sure which one you will get. There's always some certain amount of luck involved too. And there's always some buffer time as well. So even if it's later. And I think from what I've seen in terms of applications for the Jack Eddy Fellowship, it looks like it's more inclined towards having like young, like people that just finished their PhD, rather than having like second postdocs support
oh,
that.
yeah, exactly.
I'm not sure, is there like a restriction? Because I think people applied for the second one, but it wasn't successful from what I've seen. For the Jack Eddy Fellowship. That's really convenient. I think it wasn't long, right? It was just 5 pages only, yeah. So it's little effort for a big chance, actually, yeah. Comparing this to other proposals, I mean, like, it's also tough to like put together like everything into a 5-page proposal. But on the other hand, it's a short proposal and there are no additional evaluation processes. So that's basically. I think also had like a timeline in there on like planned, yeah, but no real budget. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Exactly, yeah. I think the fellowship just pays for the position itself. So it's just your salary as a postdoc. So I don't think that there's additional budget involved. There's like travel allowance and but this is like just a small budget basically for travel and the other stuff that you might need, like new laptop and so on.
Right. I guess that makes sense. And they have money for this.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
yeah,
And-
that's a big win there.
And there is quite freedom in what you can do with the host. Means host can provide you extra stipend or these things as well as some instrumentation facilities, or you can build together. So there is no problem in that. It's just that the Jack Eddy Fellowship has fixed stipend and salary, but you can do more, not on the salary basis, but apart from that with the host. That can be done.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Yeah, it's also like for picking a host, it's a good choice to have a look first about the environment that you might get into, and also to see what the host institute kind of can provide, because that can make a big difference in terms of what you get in terms of compute, other support, like for example travel, or anything like this. It's good to be at the host institute where you actually can get additional support out of this.